This episode of Bend the Knee is brought to you by Sir Thomas the Round, whose words are, "The best thing in life is a full stomach."
Hello and welcome to Bend the Knee, a Song of Ice and Fire podcast. I am Sir Matt, the Bud Knight.
And I am Sir Ezra the Watchful. Welcome to our Song of Ice and Fire book club. Today we are into Chapter 21, Tyrion 3 of A Game of Thrones, and Aegon the Fourth, a.k.a. Aegon the Unworthy in a World of Ice and Fire.
A.k.a. Aegon, my favorite.
Wow. I mean, he is a rowdy fella.
Yeah, he's a rowdy guy.
I honestly, he just made the most of life, didn't he?
He really does. He really does.
He's having fun, man.
Yeah.
So what are we doing with our lives?
That's we're recording this podcast.
You're right, we are.
Yeah, for the people.
For the people.
People's podcast.
All right, so I always mentioned at the top of the show, our email is btkcast@gmail.com. Please send us those ravens for Follow-Up Friday. Send us your Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, origin story. Send that to us so we can talk about where you came from. You know, give us your Westerosi name, all that good, juicy stuff.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned our phone number?
Yeah, our phone number, 614-547-2350. We can get your voice on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Nice to hear from you guys.
Yeah, the Weirwood Network, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
So, all right, Sir Ezra, let's go ahead and head over to the small councils where we kind of do some updates on life, some show news or things like that.
Yeah, and updates on life. We've been a little bit unexpectedly busy here.
Yeah.
Sir Ezra is taking advantage of the market.
Mm-hmm.
The Iron Bank is open, and so I'm going to be selling my place here, I think. So
yeah, it's my fault, guys. I'm moving out.
Yeah, Sir Matt's out.
Moving west, and Sir Ezra was like, you know what? I don't think I need a roommate anymore. I think I'm just going to sell my house and buy a new one. So
I just have a small condo, so I kind of thought, you know what? Maybe time to upgrade to a larger keep. A big castle with a moat. Mm-hmm. Thinking something like that, Yeah,
maybe like I hear there's a castle for cheap, pretty big. It's called Harrenhal.
Right,
I've heard good things. Real big. So it should be okay. Apparently, it doesn't do well against dragons, but they're all gone. So
yeah, so we're good, right? And it is. I mean, it's haunted, so yeah. I'm cool with Halloween.
Here's a question: if you could, here's a question for the realm.
Okay.
Send us. Maybe we'll post this on Facebook.
Yeah.
Where would you want to live in Westeros?
Yeah. Good one. Of the great keeps or just in general, where? Yeah. Where is everybody at in Westeros? We could get a little map going,
Yeah, maybe just like where would you want if you could pick a castle?
Yeah, pick one spot.
Yeah.
I like that. It's pretty cool. And actually the World of Ice and Fire book, the artwork is, as we said in the past, some of the most accurate to what Gur was envisioning.
Yeah.
So go look at Dragonstone and
Dragonstone maybe I don't know. I just kind of my thing, but I kind of like the country, the woods. But then I like also kind of being close to, like, I like the suburb, right? So I'm still kind of close to the city.
I got you. Yeah.
Maybe I'd live in I don't know.
Yeah, just fine. So I'm thinking Starfall.
Yeah.
You've got Hornhill, different places. Some of those other
of the bigger castles. I don't know. Highgarden's probably I think the most beautiful is what it's kind of described.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Storm's End though is pretty sweet.
Yeah, Storm's End would be
huge
cool.
Round thing. Like you ain't.
No, you're not getting in there. No. Yeah. No, yeah. So I don't know. Just food for thought there, guys. Think about it.
That might be my place.
Oh yeah,
because I'm a Targaryen loyalist. That's what people say. So.
You are. You are. Oh god.
So the books are about. Anyway.
Okay.
All right. So some show news.
Sure.
Sir Ezra, San Diego Comic-Con came out. There is we saw a trailer for. Oh god, now I'm blanking. Night Flyers, which is Gur.
Yeah.
One of the other books he's written.
Yeah.
It's going to be on Sci-Fi, or it's going to be on Netflix.
Boy, that looks bizarre, doesn't it?
Looks weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks weird.
But it's cool. I mean, it's
cool. Yeah, there was also a sample little preview of Fire and Blood.
Okay.
And the people who run Westeros.org, they tweeted it, and I guess it was a Targaryen family tree.
Okay, cool.
They said there's like an image of it, but there's supposed to be a PDF coming of it shortly, which would be kind of cool. Just a little family tree. It's kind of hard to make out on the picture online, but
Gotcha. That'd be cool. That'd be neat.
yeah, I really thought we'd get something about the
book?
Yeah.
Or the show? Oh yeah. Yeah,
Because I don't think they're really like there, but even oftentimes people will release stuff just around Comic Con, or like you see this in video games at E3, just and the tech stuff when it's I can't think of what it is, but it's the big one that takes place in February in Vegas, the Consumer Electronics Show, CES.
Okay.
Yeah, and so like people just, even if you're not there, they release stuff around the time because everyone's paying attention. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, neat. I'm sure we'll get stuff as we get into the fall and different things. We'll definitely have some more updates on the show going forward there. So, and we'll be getting closer and closer to the release of Fire and Blood, which we are very excited about.
Yeah.
And we'll be covering in depth. So.
Yeah, I guess we should say one thing real quick. The dragon eggs, which we had released. We have not had many people do it. So to the people who've answered, you're in really good running to win.
You're in real good shape.
Really good win to win that Night of Seven Kingdoms. So,
yeah. And like I think we said, the phrase we're looking for, we have a dragon egg contest. We mentioned some people just listen to the main show. They don't listen to Fallout Friday. So we'll mention it here. We have a dragon egg contest. We're basically AKA Easter egg. If you go back several episodes, it's only in the last several.
But you can find it at any point we've ever said it.
Yeah, any time in the entire life of the podcast. And this, when we started,
episodes old and new.
Yeah, exactly. We're looking for the phrase "thick as a castle wall." All you need to do is, if you hear us mention it in a podcast, timestamp it. Send us an email that just says, entitle it, "Dragon Egg." And then in the body of that, just put, thick as a castle
wall. And you're entered. You have till this Friday.
Yep, till this Friday.
You have till this Friday. All you got to do, and then the winner gets a copy of
Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah.
And we're doing a second place, and it's going to be like a Funko Pop.
Yeah, second place Funko Pop. And we're probably going to announce next Monday, we will announce the winner. So you have till Friday to check that out. And, there's definitely a character that we really hone in on. And it's right in the title of one of the episodes. So you just look for that character, you'll be fine.
Yep.
So enter, and then we'll do our drawing. So about every 2 to 3 months we're gonna do something fun like that. So we're calling it our Dragon Egg contest, and we'll keep you guys posted on that. Okay, Sir Matt, let's dive into the Maester's study.
This week we are talking about Aegon, my favorite, aka Aegon the Fourth. Actually, he's not even my favorite Aegon.
You know what though? Like when I was reading this and I was learning about like him as a youngster though, he's good-looking guy.
The picture of him in here is like, oh, he looks like he's good. What happened?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you see another picture of him later, you're like, oh wow,
life caught up to him.
He did not age well.
Yeah. So
here we go. With his father's death in 172 AC, Aegon the Fourth of his name came at last to the throne that he had coveted as a boy. He had been comely in his youth, skilled with lance and sword, a man who loved to hunt and hawk and dance. He was the brightest prince at court in his generation and was admired for his wit. But he had one great flaw. He could not rule himself. His lusts, his gluttony, and his desires all controlled him utterly. Seated upon the Iron Throne, his misrule began with small acts of pleasure, but in time his appetites knew no bound, and his corruption led to acts that haunted the realm for generations. Aenys was weak, and Maegor was cruel, Caith writes, and Aegon II was grasping, but no king before or after him would practice so much willful misrule. And before we go any further there, that is actually kind of an interesting quote. And so you'd have to think about who this Caith guy is, this Maester who's writing, and when that is written, because is Aegon the Fourth worse than the Mad King?
Is he worse? Wow. I don't know.
The Mad King, actually, sometimes when I think about it, I think, in terms of actually like ruling, like when you're thinking about money and like things like that, he actually seemed like he did a pretty good job. I mean, it was mostly Tywin Lannister.
Yeah. Okay, I'd compare him to like Robert Baratheon, basically. And
he's worse than Robert.
Yeah, in that though, like if Robert would have legitimized all of his bastards, and just said, "There, you guys are legit," you know, that would have been a real good parallel to Aegon the Unworthy.
Yeah,
you know,
but I don't know. It's kind of he probably had a better bank than Robert Baratheon. So
he sure as heck did, probably. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I don't know, just kind of how you.
Yeah, so I don't know. Interesting though. You know, don't we all have a little Aegon the Unworthy in us though? Yeah. You know, somewhere just can't control our
right.
own,
yeah, you know, sometimes you're like, man, I'm dieting, I'm working out hard, but God, Kane sounds good.
Yeah,
so
man, just gotta hit it up.
So that happens. You know, I need that extra Klondike bar. So
that's right.
Anyway, all right. Aegon soon filled his court with men chosen not for their nobility, honesty, or wisdom, but for their ability to amuse and flatter him. And the women of his court were largely those who did the same, letting him slake his lust upon their bodies. On a whim, he often took from one noble house to give to another, as he did when he casually appropriated the great hills called the Teats from the Brackens and gifted them to the Blackwoods. For the sake of his desires, he gave away priceless treasures, as he did when he granted his hand, Lord Butterwell, a dragon's egg in return for access to all 3 of his daughters. He deprived men of their rightful inheritance when he desired their wealth, as rumors claim he did following the death of Lord Plum upon his wedding day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to remember here real quick.
Sure.
In a mystery night... Isn't there Lord Butterwell with a dragon egg?
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
is that the one? So is that the one
Butterwell
he had?
I think there were other there were several.
Right. Okay. I hadn't researched that. I hadn't researched that. Yeah. I was just thinking. I was like, wait. I wonder if that's how he got that dragon egg. I think maybe they didn't.
I mean, some of them just didn't hatch and become petrified.
Right.
You know, as you see with Dany, she gets those kind of petrified dragon eggs. You know, and so. Yeah, they're still kind of floating around and things. Might be a different one. Could be the same one. Yeah. There's a real good resource on Westeros.org where they've basically tracked down every dragon egg that's mentioned and its color and all that good stuff. Yeah. So, you know. One thing here. So, you know, I'm going to kind of skip around here. But, so Aegon's father, Viserys the second. Reigned for like a year.
Right.
But was handed king for 3 kings, essentially.
For a really long time.
Really long time. He's only rules for 1 year.
Yeah.
Rumored that Aegon the Unworthy might have killed him, seeing that the crown was so near. Yeah. But during all those other kings, I mean, he is alive during, as we said, I think last week, we were talking about he's alive during, when is he born? He's born in Aegon the Third's reign, I think. Possibly, and he grows up during Darren and Baelor's reign, and that's when he's kind of whoring around. A lot of his youth, you know, is when he kind of was bouncing between these various women. You know, he's married to his sister Nerys, so
who's kind of a big deal because his brother Daemon, who was in the Kingsguard, really likes Nerys, and we had read actually in the last chapter that
Aemon the dragon.
Aemon, excuse me. Yeah. Is that Nerys was not happy about being married to Aegon IV.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Let me see if I can read a little bit here myself. So it was said of Aegon that he never slept alone and did not count a night complete until he had spent himself in a woman. Okay. Again, you know, I mean, living life. His carnal lust were sated by all manner of women, from the highest born of princesses to the meekest of whores. He seemed to make no difference between them. In his last years, Aegon claimed that he had slept with at least 900 women.
Yeah.
Whoa. The exact number eluded him. But that he only truly loved 9 of those women. Queen Nerys, his sister, was not counted among those 9 that he loved. So he didn't really love Nerys. And I think that was Aemon, you know, when they talk about Aemon the Dragon Knight, when you see pictures of him, he has a tear in his eye, right? And it's because he was so upset that his father married Nerys, you know, to his, I don't want to say evil brother, but just his vile, you know, brother. and he really loved his sister and things.
Yeah.
So
I mean, here's the thing: if he slept with 1,000, let's just round up and say 1,000 women. How many? Because as we'll get to later, when he does the big deal that sets off the Blackfire Rebellion, where he legitimizes all of his bastards. We talked about this a little bit. I mean, how many Targaryen bastards are there out there? If you sleep with 1,000 women, I'm not a scientist. I don't know what the stats are for how often what's the likelihood of someone getting pregnant from hooking up, what that likelihood is, but I
don't know, man. It's crazy. That's crazy.
I think half the realm at this point is actually probably Targaryen.
And I really think that was a big exaggeration. I think
I don't know.
Really?
In somebody had broken. I've Wilt Chamberlain, basketball player, right? Yeah. There's a big. His big thing is that he claims that he's slept with 20,000 women.
What?
Yeah, you never heard this?
No, I've not. Heard this.
Wilt Chamberlain. Yeah, he's claimed. I've slept with 20,000 women, just like every city when they're back playing games. Yeah,
holy smokes!
Like 2 or 3 a night, like the whole thing. So people have broken down the stats of that, and it breaks down to 1.4 women a day is what you'd have to sleep with. So
that's so ridiculous.
Oh gosh. Anyway, so. Yeah, I mean, I just right here I have Aegon, the fourth pulled up. So he's born in roughly 135 AC. His reign starts in 172.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So his reign is from 172 to 184.
Okay.
So he's probably sleeping with a different woman every night, at least while he's actually king. So who knows what he's doing?
Yeah, it almost seems
who knows what he's doing when he's just.
Yeah,
he's probably with a lot more low-born women.
Sure, yeah.
So he probably was just
maybe
prince.
Maybe I do know it does the 9 that we're going to talk about here is 9 mistresses. The ones that he loved, right?
Right.
They several of those happened before he became king. Half of them happened, I think, half or less happened when he is king. Somewhere about. So we're about to.
Well, here I just did the math.
Cool.
All right, so he is king for 12 years. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't know what the Game of Thrones or Song of Ice and Fire, how long a year is, but let's just say it is also roughly 365 days for exaggeration.
Yeah.
All right, so that's 4,380 days.
Yeah.
So actually 1,000 women to me, because if he's the king, I'm assuming he's sleeping with a different, person every day. They're probably just bringing them to him. Well, that seems quite low, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's controlling himself. Okay. So let's get into Princess Dana the Defiant, right?
Yes.
So we had mentioned last week the maiden vault that Baelor the Blessed had put all of his sisters into, and so this starts to kind of talk about how he probably as a youngster snuck in there and hooked up with her, correct?
Yeah.
And
that's
she names her son Daemon, right?
Yeah.
Daemon
was the name Dana gave to this child, for Prince Daemon had been the wonder and the terror of his age. It was in later days that was seen as a warning of what the boy would become. Daemon Waters was his full name when he was born in 170 AC. Now, that's important to remember, 170 AC. At that time, Dana refused to name the father, but even then, Aegon's involvement was suspected. Raised at the Red Keep, the handsome youth was given the instruction of the wisest maesters and the best masters at arms at court, including Sir Quentin Ball, the fiery knight called Fireball, who will come up later.
Yeah, who's in the Dunk and Egg series. His son. Well, his bastard son, possibly. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Let's move into Queen Nerys here. The one woman that Aegon abetted, in whom he took no pleasure, was pious and gentle and frail, and all these things the king misliked. Childbirth also proved a trial to Nerys, for she was small and delicate. When Prince Darren was born on the last day of 153 AC, so there it is. 153 is when Darren.
Yeah, so Darren is a lot older.
Is older. Okay. So she's 153 AC. Darren, who is going to be our next king.
Yeah.
Grand Maester Alfred warned that yet another pregnancy might kill her. Nerys was said to address her brother thus: "I have done my duty by you and given you an heir. I beg you, let us live henceforth as brother and sister." We are told that Aegon replied, "That is what we are doing."
Jesus.
Aegon continued to insist his sister perform her wifely duties for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, then we go. Matters between them were inflamed further by Prince Aemon, their brother, who had been inseparable from Nerys when they were young. Aegon's resentment of his noble, celebrated brother was plain to all, for the king delighted in slighting Aemon and Nerys both at every turn. Even after the Dragon Knight died, in his defense, he actually dies defending
Yeah,
Aegon
he does. Yeah.
the Fourth, and Queen Nerys perished in childbirth the year after. Aegon IV did little to honor their memory. So it is very important to know here that there's a lot of rumors, theories that actually, because the Dragon Knight, Aemon and Nerys were very close, a lot of people think that Prince Darren, who becomes King Darren, is actually a bastard.
Yeah.
Right, which is what I believe.
So I hear you. Yeah. So the idea that he could be Aemon, Aemon's son, Aemon the Dragon Knight's son, which is interesting because it's so backwards. You would think that, Daemon Waters, who would look a lot like his uncle, and very, good with the sword, kind of a leader.
Right.
You think that would be maybe his son. No, it's the other way around, where the bookish Darren could be. And again, it's complete speculation there, just so everyone knows.
But they mentioned at the beginning of the chapter that Aegon had, when he was young, he was really skilled with lance and sword. He just lets himself go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Let's see. So anyways, as his son Darren grows older and older, right, he starts to kind of voice his own opinions about his father. And that kind of peeves and upsets Aegon the Unworthy with his own son. So there's part of, I think, when your own son is kind of calling you out for some of what you're doing, you start to see where the divide, happens and where he could possibly give Blackfire to Daemon Waters. Yeah. Later on, Daemon Blackfire. Okay. All right.
I believe you mean Daemon Targaryen, as he's legitimized.
Yeah, he is. He is. It's true. Okay. After the deaths of his siblings, the king began to make barely veiled references to his son's alleged illegitimacy, something he dared only because the Dragon Knight was dead. So maybe he had mentioned that before, but didn't do anything because his brother was alive. Yeah. Maybe he feared his brother a little bit, Yeah. His brother's a boss.
Well, the Dragon Knight's is considered to be, arguably the greatest swordsman ever.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of crazy. So, so he's already kind of saying that his trueborn son could not be, legit. Yeah. So, all right, what else we got here?
So then it just goes on to talk a little bit about what actually happened during his reign. And he actually tries to kind of go back into Dorne. Yeah. He says that by far the greatest folly of Aegon IV was his stillborn invasion of Dorne. However, for his grace had also turned to the dubious pyromancers of the ancient guild of alchemists, commanding them to build me dragons. These wood and iron monstrosities fitted with pumps that shot jets of wildfire might perhaps have been of some use in a siege, but Aegon proposed to drag these devices up through the Bone Way, where there are places so steep that the Dornishmen have these carved steps. So, he's saying we're just going to march these right in there, and they're sitting ducks, which it's a terrible idea.
Yeah, and it says, too, that he kind of drew some inspiration from the young dragon, right, from Aegon III, who we said is successful in conquering Dorne, even though he doesn't keep it for very long. Remember, he grew up maybe on stories of that. He's named after that Aegon, right? Type of thing. He's named after Aegon the Conqueror, but you could see him as a boy possibly, thinking I want to do that one day, and he gets a chance to be king, and that's your great trial. Can you conquer Dorne? Type of thing. So, All right, so that
Yeah.
didn't work out though.
Nope. And then lots of people die, and it's been and then the book just kind of jumps right to his death. The reign of this unworthy monarch came to an end in 184 AC when King Aegon was 9 and 40 years of age. So he doesn't actually become king. He's like 40 or 50 by the time he becomes king.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's born in 135 and doesn't take
until 172.
172. So how long is that? That's 40 years, right?
Something around like that, there, yeah.
So he was grossly fat, barely able to walk, and some wondered how his last mistress, Serene of Lys, the mother of Shira Seastar, could have ever withstood his embrace. He dies a horrible death, his body so swollen and obese that he could no longer lift himself from his couch, his limbs rotting and crawling with flesh worms. The Maesters claim they've never seen its like. It's just bad. They give milk of the poppy, but that was about all they could do. Mm-hmm. But his last act before his death, all accounts agree, was set out in his will, and in it he left the bitterest poison the realm ever knew. He legitimized all of his natural children, from the most baseborn to the great bastards, the sons and daughters born to him by women of noble birth. Scores of his natural children had never been acknowledged. Aegon's dying declaration meant not to them. For his acknowledged bastards, however, it meant a great deal, and for the realm, it meant blood and fire for 5 generations. Mm-hmm. So then it kind of goes into here, the 9 mistresses of Aegon the Fourth, the Unworthy.
Yeah. These are names. It's interesting to see the different house names that come into play. The great houses that he hooked up with here. So
so you have Lady Felena Stokeworth, mm-hmm. Who was quite a bit older than him. It said she kind of made him a man in 149. I don't believe they did not have any. Children by Felena Stokeworth, none acknowledged. Maguette, who's just the wife of a blacksmith. This one's crazy. While riding near Fair Market in 155, Aegon's horse threw a shoe, and when he sought out the local smith, he came to notice the man's young wife. He went on to buy her for 7 gold dragons, and he had one of the Kingsguard kind of threaten this blacksmith. Maguette was installed in a house in King's Landing. She and Aegon were even wed in a secret ceremony. Maguette gave the prince 4 children in as many years. Prince Viserys put an end to it. So it's returning Maguette to her husband and placing the daughters with the faith to be trained as septas. Maguette was beaten to death within a year by that blacksmith.
Crazy, dude. It's nuts.
Yeah. So in 155, so Prince Viserys wasn't even king yet.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it would have been Baelor or Dame or Darren, yeah. Lady Kalessa Vaith, daughter of a Dornish lord. No children there. Belegret Othris, the Black Pearl of Bravos, who's a smuggler. They have a couple kids.
Yep.
Yeah, nothing super.
All girls, it looks like. Or
Lady Barbara Bracken. This is where things
there we go.
This is where things get really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Baelor's death in 171 and Viserys' ascension to the throne. The princesses were once again permitted male company, because remember they were in the maiden vault.
Yeah, and she is actually accompanying the 3 sisters of Baelor in the maiden vault. She's like their lady at what do you call it? Attending lady or something like that.
Yeah.
So
So with Baelor's death in 171 and Viserys the second, so he is now king, ascension to the throne, the princesses were once again permitted male company. Aegon, now Prince of Dragonstone and heir apparent, became entranced with 16-year-old Barbara. On his own ascent in 172, he named her father his hand and openly took her as his mistress.
Yeah.
She bore him a bastard only a fortnight before another set of twins, a stillborn boy and a girl. Daenerys, who survived, were delivered by Queen Nerys. With the queen lingering near death, the hand, Barbara's father talked openly of wedding his daughter to the king. After the queen's recovery and scandal proved Barbara's undoing. A young Prince Darren and his uncle, the Dragonite, forced Aegon to send her and the bastard away. The boy raised at Stonehenge by the Brackens was called Aegor Rivers, but in time became known as Bittersteel.
Yep. Yeah, so this is, they gone back to back. So you've got House Bracken, and then next we have House Blackwood. So later on, he hooks up with someone named Lady Melissa, or Missy Blackwood, and she ends up having Brendan Rivers.
Yeah, Bloodraven.
Bloodraven. So you've got these back-to-back kind of competing mistresses, and so
then later, real quick, just
sure.
So we can go back to Bloodraven and Bittersteel. Then he hooks up with Lady Bethany Bracken at one point, who is Barbara's
sister,
younger sister.
Yeah. So it's crazy. So he kind of went back and forth between House Bracken and Blackwood there for just a bit, and actually, it's interesting to note that the Brackens weren't as welcomed at court. It says that the Blackwoods were so Missy Blackwood was actually well liked by Nerys and Aemon the Dragon Knight. So like since they were cool with it, she ended up staying and was okay, I guess, being there.
And then really you have I'm going to skip ahead and then come back here. You have Serene of Lys, we mentioned, that is Sheriff Seastar's mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But this one's interesting. Lady Jane Lothston, daughter of Laeney Falena, one of his other mistresses, the king's first mistress.
Yeah.
So it says, I believe, Lady Falena, it says no known, none acknowledged.
Right.
So, but she clearly has a daughter, so he may actually hook up with his own daughter.
His own daughter. Yeah. Yeah. Yep, it's wild. I mean, this guy is definitely Aegon the Unworthy for a reason, friends.
Yeah.
And
there's some where it talks about he wants to hook up with mother and daughter at the same time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
that was often reported that he did that. Yeah. So, but actually, he's hooked up with so many people. He actually gives Jane a pox. Yeah. He had caught from the horrors he'd been seeing after Lady Bethany's execution. Remember that she gets executed. And they're sent away from court. So, yeah, I don't know. People were just, these people are trying to, you gain wealth, you gain favor, you can gain some favors, for your house if you're in bed with the king. You know, I mean, if he's going to open it up and let it just be a, free for all, then they're in there. I mean, they're in there trying to, get money and wealth and power and have their own sons possibly. Because even Robert Baratheon, I didn't really quite understand this. He has a bastard with House. Oh gosh, I'm gonna botch this. House Florent, I think. A lady, one of the ladies there, and his bastard is currently. It's a great bastard, and it's an acknowledged bastard. One that he has acknowledged, and it's a part of. When they look at his offspring. His true offspring, they see that hair color and that eye color and things like that. Right. So he's now sent across. He's in Essos currently, I think, in the series. But one of Robert's confirmed, oldest bastards,
right,
is out there. So, anyways, they're hoping, since they're from these high houses, that their bastards will be sort of acknowledged and possibly given roles. I would imagine. So, okay, anything else on that?
Nope.
I think we're good. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will touch on all of this again. I mean, Sir Matt and I keep saying it. Fire and Blood is going to come back around, and we're going to be rehashing all this stuff and making connections back to all these Targaryen kings and stuff. Even though Fire and Blood will be Volume 1, probably only up to A Dance of Dragons, but still, they just seem to kind of resurface, and we mention and talk about them quite a bit. So, yeah. Okay. Let's dive into the reread this week.
Okay. This week we are on Tyrion 3. Last week we read Eddard 4. Immediately upon his arrival in King's Landing, Ned is summoned to a meeting of the small council to plan a tournament. Afterward, Littlefinger intercepts him and leads him to where Catelyn is hiding, where they plan their strategy for justice. And their strategy involves Tyrion. So just kind of nice that, we get this. It's ending by saying, it was the Imp's dagger, and then we immediately get a Tyrion chapter.
Yeah.
So last time we were with Tyrion was Tyrion 2. As they travel north, Tyrion and Jon Snow argue about the realities of life on the Wall, which was kind of a cool little chapter where they're just sitting around kind of a campfire and talking about, snarks and, wildlings and things that are beyond the Wall. And Tyrion kind of tells them the truth about this is what actually I know about the Wall. So this week,
Right.
Tyrion 3. Tyrion dines with high officers of the Night's Watch and promises Lord Commander Mormont that he will speak to the king of their need. Afterwards, while paying a final visit to the Wall, Tyrion meets Jon Snow, who asks Tyrion to do what he can to help his brother Bran.
Yeah.
And this comes up actually because we know Tyrion gets a little sidetracked during the rest of the events of Game of Thrones, but this actually kind of comes up to play during a clash with kings in the next book, where Tyrion actually does send a couple people to the Wall once he becomes Hand of the King. Sir Janos Slynt specifically is who comes to mind. Right.
Yeah. Yep. So in this chapter, I'm trying to recall real quick. I'm actually trying to find it. It's he's basically up there. We just get more of his farewell and kind of his conversation with Jon Snow and it's going to come back like later on. It's neat later on that he refers back to his time up here, and he's almost mocked at King's Landing, for what he, for even voicing a true concern by the Night's Watch.
Right, and you get some more Tyrion Jon build up, and you get to see who Tyrion likes. So here I have some things quoted here. This is just right at the beginning here. Are you certain that you must leave us so soon? The Lord Commander asked him. Past certain, Lord Mormont, Tyrion replied. My brother Jaime will be wondering what has become of me. He may decide that you have convinced me to take the black. Wish that I could. Mormont picked up a crab claw and cracked it in his fist. Old as he was, the Lord Commander still had the strength of a bear. You're a cunning man, Tyrion. We have need of men of your sort on the Wall. Tyrion grinned. Then I shall scour the 7 kingdoms for dwarfs and ship them all to you, Lord Mormont. And they laughed as he sucked the meat from a crab leg and reached for another. The crabs had arrived from East's Watch, only the morning, packed in a barrel of snow, and they were succulent. So then this is kind of funny. This is where he gets into a little tiff with Sir Alliser Thorne.
Right, yeah.
And I wish this scene were actually in the show, because I just think it would be hilarious. Sir Alliser Thorne was the only man at the table who did not so much as crack a smile. Lannister mocks us. Only you, Sir Alliser, Tyrion said. This time, the laughter round the table had a nervous, uncertain quality to it. Thorne's black eyes fixed on Tyrion with loathing. You have a bold tongue for someone who is less than half a man. Perhaps you and I should visit the yard together. Why? Asked Tyrion. The crabs are here. The remark brought up more guffaws from the others. Sir Alliser stood up with his mouth a tight line. Come and make your japes with steel in your hand. Tyrion looked pointedly at his right hand. Why? I have steel in my hand, Sir Alliser. Although it appears to be a crab fork. Shall we duel? He hopped up on his chair and began poking at Thorne's chest with the tiny fork. Roars of laughter filled up the tower room. Bits of crab flew from the Lord Commander's mouth as he began to gasp and choke. Even his raven joined in, calling loudly from above the window, duel, duel, duel. Yeah, it's just hilarious. Like, it's just
he's got some balls,
Absolutely, he does.
When you think about it, he's the queen's
brother,
and so it's like, would any other dwarf even try?
Oh,
something?
no.
And he knows it, and so use it, right? You only live once, and so he's having a little fun here, and he really tries to make the distinction between, he's not mocking the Night's Watch, he's mocking Sir Alliser,
right?
That's the whole point, right? So that's good, yeah. So after that, he comments that, you already mentioned that he's talking about him mocking out the stables,
right?
You're right, okay. Mormont takes the opportunity to complain about the quality of his men. Sir Alliser is one of the few living knights to have taken the black. So, although we mock him, and I think we mentioned this last time we were up at the Wall, and that because of the events during Robert's Rebellion, that's why Sir Alliser is sent to the Wall.
Right.
Because he was a Targaryen loyalist. So he's actually a pretty cool guy. Yeah. So, let's see.
So this is what I found, and it kind of comes up right after this. Basically, Lord Commander just kind of mentions that he says, Tyrion, I think you do mock us, and Tyrion says we all need to be mocked from time to time. And then you kind of have this little moment in between here with Maester Aemon. As Riker filled it for him, his wine glass, Bowen Marsh said, "You have a great thirst for a small man." "Oh, I think that Lord Tyrion is quite a large man," Maester Aemon said from the far end of the table. He spoke softly, yet the high officers of the Night's Watch all felt quiet, the better to hear what the ancient had to say. "I think he is a giant come among us here at the end of the world." Tyrion answered gently, "I have been called many things, my lord, but giant is seldom one of them."
Yeah.
"Nonetheless," Maester Aemon said, his face clouded, milk-white eyes moved to Tyrion's face, "I think that it is true." For once, Tyrion Lannister found himself at a loss for words. He could only bow his head politely and say, "You are too kind, Maester Aemon." The blind man smiled. He was a tiny thing, wrinkled and hairless, shrunken beneath the weight of 100 years, so his maester's collar with its links of many metals hung loose about his throat. "I have been called many things, my lord," he said, "but kind is seldom one of them." Yeah. This time Tyrion himself led the laughter.
I mean, so what does that mean? Because I'll tell you right now, when Maester Aemon speaks, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right? They all, get a little quiet, like, "Whoa, what's he mean by this?" And it's a cool back and forth. I've not been called kind. You've not been called a giant.
Right.
It is.
It's just
what
interesting.
It is. Very.
So
interesting.
I mentioned this during Fallout Friday. It's interesting that later in A Dance of Dragons, Tyrion, somebody calls Tyrion. They talk about this Tyrion as a giant kind of a thing, like as a joke. And then Lord Adam Parker had pointed out to us when we had read that Jon chapter that Tyrion then. Jon sees his shadow, and it's as tall as a king.
Yeah, yeah.
So is Gur hinting at a bigger, larger role for Tyrion?
Yeah, I mean, he also looked real big sitting up on that throne.
Yeah.
Tyrion
a lot. I know Tyrion is the one character I really don't know where his end game goes. He's the one. He's like one of the one characters I think is safe. I just don't see a reason for Tyrion to die. Unless you just need to kill characters.
Right. Yeah. Yep, for sure. To move us on here a bit, I mean, basically, they talk about his men that he has with him, Jick and Morik,
right.
Taking him back down south. And Yoren is...
which is a big deal.
Yeah.
Because Yoren goes south with Tyrion.
Goes south, right.
Goes south with Tyrion, yeah.
For sure. He's there at a pivotal moment, right, too, when he actually is... well, I can't remember if that's book or show that Yoren gets. Does he actually go with a little secret chit chat? That's what I thought. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But so, anyways, Mormont, he actually asked if Jon Snow could accompany him.
Yeah,
and he's like, no, he's too young. And it kind of that the young ones need to kind of forget their old lives. They need to just kind of live at the wall and forget it all. Otherwise it gets harder and harder if you keep going back south and you're surrounded by that day-to-day life. So, because he's going to stop in at Winterfell.
Yeah, right here. Besides, Jon Snow is only a boy. You shall have 3 strong swords to keep you safe. I am touched by your concern, Lord Mormont. The strong drink was making Tyrion lightheaded, but not so drunk that he did not realize that the old bear wanted something from him. I hope I can repay your kindness. So Tyrion just, okay, yeah, what I'll just go ahead and see what you want.
Yeah.
You can, Mormont said bluntly. Your sister sits beside the king, your brother is a great knight, and your father the most powerful lord in the 7 kingdoms. Speak to them for us. Tell us of our need here. You have seen for yourself, my lord, the Night's Watch is dying. And this is something that comes up quite a bit, is how do we fix the Night's Watch? Something's got to change, because it's just dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And that's something that Jon, when he becomes Lord Commander, luckily he has Stannis there, I think actually is trying to do. Jon also realizes there's no way we're going to keep the wall going.
Yeah. Man, this is the first time where I've seen. I'm actually just kind of looking back over this, and Mormont's Raven comes up here and says something huge, right? I'm like, you're right in that he's pushing for we need the support, and he knows Tyrion can help him and stuff. They start talking about how many men they can man the wall with, right? And Tyrion corrects him and says that you actually have 3 1/3 per mile of the wall, type of thing, and he doesn't listen. But they start talking about Jan Royce's son, who was lost, Royce,
Right.
in our
Maynard
prologue.
Royce, yeah.
Yeah. And so, he actually sends Benjen and two other of his best men out to go
Find him.
And
so you've now just lost 5 people.
and you can see as the Lord Commander, Mormont's starting to kind of worry that, like, if he loses these men, these like okay, for example, if he lost Jon Snow, and let's say Eddard is sitting at Winterfell, oh boy, that's bad, because like, you want, even though he understands that they've married the wall, it's still, he doesn't want Royce to not send him more men or to offend. He says, I did not wish to offend his Lord Father, so I yielded and I sent these men out. He knew that he probably shouldn't, but he did. And that's when the Raven starts to say, fool.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder at that point if this Raven, obviously just repeating the word fool, but
no,
I'm just saying here that Benjen goes missing and doesn't come back, and truly, fool. He's a fool for don't send anybody else. What other type of warning can you get?
Which then comes into, why would the Raven call him a fool? Is the Raven saying, yeah, it is foolish, or is the Raven actually calling him a fool because the Raven actually secretly hates
Is
the
he
wall?
mocking him?
Yeah.
Is he mocking him and all that stuff? It's just funny because it's so many different, it's just one word that
I think the Raven is helping. Sir Ezra thinks the Raven is hurting.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's either mockery, or it's saying, fool, don't send any more, or it's just repeating the word that he said,
Right.
I mean, that's what Gur loves to do, is he can send you 3 different ways.
Yeah.
If not more. So, all right.
Yeah. Okay. So then it kind of jumps into, it kind of talks about the wall a little bit. Once the Watch spent its summers building, and each Lord Commander raised the wall higher than he found it, now it's all we can do to stay alive. He was in deadly earnest. Tyrion realized he felt embarrassed for the old man. Lord Mormont had spent a good part of his life on the wall and needed to believe in those years have any meaning. I promise the king will hear of your need, Tyrion says gravely, and I will speak to my father and brother Jaime as well. And he would. Tyrion Lannister was as good as his word. He left the rest unsaid, that King Robert would ignore him, Tywin Lannister would ask if he had taken leave of his senses, and Jaime would only laugh.
Yeah.
Then they talk about winter.
Yeah, winter and summer.
And this, I think, is actually the first time we actually hear about, what was it like to actually live in a winter?
Sure, yeah.
Tyrion says, when I was a boy, my wet nurse told me that one day if men were good, the gods would give us a world, give the world a summer without ending.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Perhaps we've been better than we thought, and the great summer is finally at hand. The Lord Commander does not seem amused. You are fool if you are fool enough to believe that. He says already the days grow shorter.
Yep.
And so then just end up kind of talking about that
winter is coming.
Yeah, it's
right?
coming.
Yeah, for sure. So, and then he kind of goes back to that urging, wanting, Tyrion to push for more men, and it does come up later. And Tyrion, I don't know if you just mentioned this or not, but he talks about how this is Mormont's life.
Yeah,
this is his great work. And he doesn't want to see it fail. He wants to. Can you imagine? I mean, if Mance Rayder does come south, this is his great time. He defended the realm.
Well, think about the people that. So some people just get sent to the wall, and it kind of just takes them out of, like, some people get sent to the wall because they're crooks or whatever, and then okay, that's their life. So maybe they can gain some honor there. But when you think about these highborn people that go, it's almost like all these highborn people kind of get screwed out of things, or at least the people we see, right? Like, so Maester Aemon, for example, goes, and Maester Aemon could have been king. Yeah. Jon Snow goes, could have helped fight in this Winterfell thing. Jon may end up being the one person to kind of benefit from it because he's dead, at least in the books. Yep. Probably going to get resurrected, like in the books. He certainly does in the show, and it all works out for him there. But Mormont, same thing, because his son kind of caused, and then
brought some dishonor to the family.
He says, I'm going to go to the wall. Everything's kind of taken care of here. My son is going to rule. I'm just going to go to the wall, live out my life, and then I've done something honorable. Because, you probably do get some honor when you think about, like, big houses with lots of kids will send someone to the wall as kind of this noble thing to do.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting that he does that so that his son can,
right,
kind of rule and stuff.
Well, and look at
was looking forward to that,
right, like
proud of his son
in the show, and this could happen kind of same way in the book. Probably maybe not the exact same way, but it probably situation will happen. Sam, his dad and his brother die in the show. Daenerys kills them, and it's highly likely that they will die in some event in the books. So,
do you think that Jorah Mormont might actually have this like return home, the lost son, come back again?
It's possible.
Wouldn't that be something?
I actually think it'd be cool, maybe if Jorah Mormont does actually go to the wall.
Yeah. It'd just be neat, and then kind of like he could. Maybe something was left by his father for him. Just
that's another character, book and show. I don't really know. I just don't see a clear
path. Yeah,
clear path for.
Yeah, for sure.
Jorah Mormont.
Okay. So Jorah actually mentioned something interesting. He's talking about Dennis Mallister. Is writing that the mountain people are moving south. They're slipping past the Shadow Tower, in the numbers that are super vast. Right? They're running actually, and they're running from what? He goes on to say that these old bones, Lannister, these are old bones, Lannister, but they have never felt a chill like this. Tell the king what I say, I pray you. Winter is coming, and when the long night falls, only the Night's Watch will stand between the realm and the darkness that sweeps from the north. The gods help us if we are all not ready.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just really, he's been on rangings himself. He knows, what's out there. He's nervous, and they're not prepared.
No.
And what he does know, if anything, even if he doesn't know about the others and whatnot, he knows that these people who have been rooted in their villages and their homes are leaving their homes and moving south fast, quickly. So that is an issue. So much that later on he's going to take... he's going to lead a force beyond the wall. I mean, it's just crazy,
Yeah. So then, so basically, then we see Tyrion kind of goes up to the top.
It's
time for him to go up top. It's kind of interesting. It's just talking about you get a little bit of describing of the wall and actually like what it's like to go up top, and just talks about like how as Tyrion's like riding up, up the wench and like kind of the elevator there, he sees how it's like all broken. The Castle Black is just all broken down, and broken staircases and things like that. It says he has to wait like an eternity because it's like a 700-foot wall. So it's definitely gonna take some time to get up there.
Yeah, he's just going up there for that one last look or whatever. They kind of warn him, don't fall off. The old barrel have our heads, type of thing. So
he gets up there and he's kind of walking around, and then he ends up coming across Jon Snow and Ghost.
Yeah,
and Jon actually. It's interesting here that Ghost lets him pet him,
right,
and is like okay with it, and then the other dire wolves, when Tyrion goes back, almost kill him.
Yeah, it's just it's the. Well, and
it could have something to do with the way they raise him.
Yeah, it could. I think it's just
Ghost seems to have by far the strongest bond.
And here's the thing: if Jon has a good relationship with Tyrion, Ghost through Jon has that relationship. But when he goes back to the other Starks, they have no relationship. I mean, all they know is those direwolves are feeding off of the emotions that they sense from their, keepers. So. Okay, this is the last place I would have expected to have been seen. Tyrion admitted, I was captured by a whim. If I touch Ghost, will he chew my hand off? Not with me here, Jon promised. So as you're right, he's able to kind of touch him. I have drawn night guard, Jon said. Again, Sir Alistair has kindly arranged for the watch commander to take a special interest in me. He seems to think that if they keep me awake half the night, I'll fall asleep during the morning drill. So far, I have disappointed him. Right,
yeah.
So. He's still getting after it with Alistair Thorne and starting to kind of reconcile things with Gren and his other friends and stuff. So,
Then Tyrion kind of jokes with him, has Ghost learned to juggle yet? Jon says no, smiling. Just like interesting because that was the bet he had made with Sir Alistair. And then they just talk, and then they end up talking about Tyrion says, I'm going back to Winterfell. Is there anything you want me to tell? And he just says, tell Robb I'm going to command the Night's Watch and keep everything safe. And then he tells Rickon, he's not understand. He's too young to understand why I can't come back. And then Bran, he doesn't really know what to say to Bran. And then he's like, just give your words to Bran.
Yeah, for sure. First Tyrion kind of denies that he has anything to offer Bran, but he's insisting that words will be enough. He agrees, and then they actually end up calling each other friend.
Yeah, that's a really cool line. He says, "Thank you, my Lord of Lannister." He pulled off his glove and offered his bare hand. Friend. Tyrion found himself oddly touched. Most of my kin are bastards, he said with a weary smile, but you're the first I've had to friend. He pulled off a glove with his white teeth clasped Snow by the hand, flesh against flesh. The boy's grip was firm and strong. When he donned the glove again, Jon Snow turned abruptly and walked to the icy north parapet. And then they just Tyrion kind of stands up there and looks. Mm-hmm. And he sees, wow, just how far you can see. Yeah. And then I think they talk a little bit about the forest.
Yeah, the haunted forest. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they talk. There's another.
Yeah, my uncle is out there, Jon Snow said softly, leaning on his spear as he stared off into the darkness. The first night they sent me up here, I thought Uncle Benjen will ride back tonight, and I'll see him and blow the horn. He never came, though. Not that night, and not any night. Give him time, Tyrion said. Far off to the north, a wolf began to howl, and another voice picked up the call, then another. Ghost cocked his head and listened. If he doesn't come back, Jon Snow promised, Ghost and I will go find him. He put his hand on the direwolf's head. I believe you, Tyrion said, but he thought, and who will go to find you? And that's actually kind of what happens. You know, how many men are you going to lose because you lose one person and you send more out to find that person?
That's right. Yep. So I was doing some more research on cold hands and stuff. Gerst he said, he in interviews and stuff, that cold hands is not Benjen. And so when I think about that more, you still have we theorized about what did Ned tell Benjen, right? And could it be that he is actually just alive? Maybe he has learned to survive this whole
totally
time.
Be. That's we see in the show a lot that they combine characters.
And maybe
Cold Hands is just another.
Leaf says he died long ago. They killed him long ago.
Yeah.
So that can't be, Benjen really, unless it depends on how long is long ago.
Right. But that's the thing is that the Cold Hands could just be a former Night's Watch.
Yeah, for sure. Person. But I'm just thinking too, Benjen, if this force is moving south and he wants to avoid them, he's wearing his, he's a crow, right? Mm-hmm. He's got his black garb on. He's got to find if they're moving in his direct line back to the wall, he might have to make do. He might have to go a different route. He might have to really kind of, live out in the wild for a while. Right. I think he'll actually return. I think he'll actually come back. And I think he'll just be Benjen Stark. Yeah. Which would be crazy cool.
It could be.
He could reveal a lot to us, actually. Yeah,
maybe it's not Howland Reed. Maybe it's Benjen Stark.
Yeah, it just kind of dawned on me, and so I kind of wanted to toss it out there. The best part about this chapter is the friendship. Just that they become friends, and the warnings that are sent out, the foreshadowing, all of that is just really good. So.
All right, let's go ahead and move on over to Send a Raven. I believe, so this week we asked kind of you guys to share your stories with us.
Yeah, those origin stories.
Your Song of Ice and Fire story, how you got into it. So I think for a lot of people, it's probably going to be the show. Mm-hmm. Then you turn to the books. Maybe this is your first time reading the books. Maybe you read the books first. You've never seen the show. Well, however, just let us know here. So you want to read this one?
Yeah, sure. You guys already know my story.
This is Lord Adam
I
Parker,
believe this is Lord Adam Parker. Yep. But the rest of the kingdom does not. In 2012/2013 school year, my college roommate had all the books for the Song of Ice and Fire. I came home one day, and all of the suitmates were watching the first episode. I walked right into a sex scene, and I'm like, what are you watching? Right? Then they pushed Bran out the window. They said I'd love the show because of all the boobs and the sex. I didn't watch it. I escaped the hype and almost prided myself for being the only one in the world who's never seen an episode. my wife would watch the show periodically, legally on HBO Go. Good for her, by the way. That's awesome. So I caught the tail end of many, of season 6 episodes. Right. I believe I saw season 6 finale when that came out. I don't like high fantasy movies / shows and couldn't get into this silly show with dragons and magic. But I do like King Arthur and the medieval, period movies. Long story short, my wife convinced me to watch the show from the beginning. We finished season 2 or so months before season 7 came out, and then watched that live. I started listening to some podcasts here and there about the show during the season. After season 7 ended, I decided to read the books. I couldn't put the first book down. From there, I'd read about theories and listened to more podcasts when you were just second breakfast. So at one point we were. And then when you came out with Bend the Knee, I listened to it and decided to join Patreon, which I've never done before because I wanted to create a house and a banner. And I've been hooked ever since. It's an interesting, I love his story because it is very interesting. It's sort of like, I have a buddy, Lane, who's kind of like that, doesn't want to jump into something that's, he tries to avoid all the hype and not get kind of really drawn into it. I'll wait till it dies down and then I'll get into it type of thing. But this one, Game of Thrones, just the impact it's had on our world. It's Mike and Mike in the Morning are talking about it. Every sports, TV shows that don't normally talk about this type of stuff are talking about, did you see last night's episode? Monday morning would roll around and it was just, blowing people's minds. So, this is awesome. Lord Adam Parker, this is great. I really like, this story. Honestly, sounds like I'd kind of like to know, how much of it his wife has watched,
Well, Lord Adam Parker and I are, we Instagram,
you talk all the time. What do you say?
We Instagram follow each other, Facebook friends and stuff now, which is cool. That's another thing. It's just this whole journey of meeting people online.
Yeah.
It's just super cool.
So cool.
He's actually on a sweet vacation right now. He said he had to fly through like Iceland and
wow.
Yeah, and he's over in Israel and he's just doing a lot of traveling.
Nice.
He has a picture. He and his wife met 2 of the dogs.
The direwolves.
The direwolves. So I believe they're both really into it.
Yeah, awesome. That's cool. Yeah. That's really cool. So again, guys, if you have these stories, I think for the main show, we're gonna try to. If we have stories, which we actually have 3 to 4 more that you guys have sent, I think we're gonna try to do 1 an episode. And if we get a lot more, then we'll do 1 to 2, 3, just kind of pace them out. And we'd love to just read your origin story, for Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire. Doesn't have to be long, can be super long, can be funny, can be sad, can be whatever you guys want it to be. So just send those to btkcast at gmail.com. And then still continue to send those ravens where we can kind of, chat, at the end of the week on Fridays, about Follow-Up Friday. And a quick plug here for something we might be doing in the future. I've thought about it. It's kind of a crazy idea. I've talked to Sir Matt about it, but just if anyone is interested in us possibly trying to do something where we could do like a live show on for Follow-Up Friday, even if it is just like we do it Friday night, maybe we could change something around. We could just do it on Fridays. We normally record Thursday night. We gather those ravens and then we post it Friday morning. But we've actually considered using Discord and possibly doing something live. So if you guys are interested in that, let us know. If there's big interest for it, then we might do it. We're got to see about the logistics here. So just kind of thought it was pretty neat. I've seen other podcasts do it, and I think it'd be kind of neat for us to do. But we still have to figure out, the moving piece and stuff, how we're going to do all that. Right. So we will definitely get back to you guys on that. So. Okay. Anything else there for Raven-wise? We're good?
Nope. Now we have to man the wall.
Time to man the wall. Okay. So this will actually post. This episode will be up Monday. You're listening to it on Monday. And we are going to have our next Black Council episode. I believe we said it's going to be up by Monday night. Sir Matt and I are going to record it. We finished this whole weekend. We've been re-listening to The Rogue Prince. It's been an epic time. And it's sort of that prelude to the Dance of Dragons. We were going to do it Saturday. We kind of just postponed it till Monday. just because I'm moving. Honestly, I'm moving, so we had to kind of move it around a little bit. And so, yeah, we definitely want to get that out to you guys. So, Man the Wall, hit us up on patreon.com/, Bend the Knee. It's where you can get all this, extra episodes, some T-shirts. We've got T-shirts on there. We've got a whole box of them sitting here, too. So, we've got more, sizes and stuff ready to go. We can send those out. Some of you have signed up, and I need to reach out to you guys, send you a private message on Patreon, and make sure I get your size so I can send that out to you. So, but okay, each week we also do a knighting ceremony. And this week, we have a friend of ours tonight. So here we go. Lance of House Lot. In the name of the warrior, I charge you to be brave. In the name of the father, I charge you to be just. In the name of the mother, I charge you to defend the young and innocent. In the name of the maid, I charge you to protect all women. In the name of the smith, I charge you to mend the broken. In the name of the crone, I charge you to seek wisdom. In the name of the stranger, I charge you to face death with sword in hand. Rise, Sir Lance, Knight of the Green Door. Yeah. It's just nice to kind of, knight somebody,
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know, man.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
And so that is Sir Lance, Knight of the Green Door.
Yeah, this is what we do for our patrons. So yeah, and then we also
one of many things, know.
Yeah, we do sigils, extra stuff like that. So
quick update on sigils. If you've been new to Patreon and you haven't hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Facebook, and we will start working on that sigil for you. We've got quite a few in there. I've updated the doc best I can. When you guys go to patreon.com/bend the knee, if you click on, I think it's underneath one of the reward tiers, you can click on the Google Doc and let me know if I have your words in there correctly, your region, where are you from, make sure we got your banner in there, all that good stuff. Okay, so we've got a couple of you that we want to work on and make sure we update. The words, I think, are the fun part for me. I love to figure out the words. I think this week our buddy sponsored this episode, Sir Thomas the Round. The best thing in life is a full stomach. I just think those are great.
Yeah.
So
no, it is. Yeah, it's the cool thing. The house words. And then just kind of creating your character, your Westerosi character.
Hey, I'm still working on that painted table. The idea of getting like a nice big glass table with all the pieces. Get some of the the map where I can move different people around. See where our patrons are at and where they are in the realm. So, okay, all right. I think it's time to say farewell, guys. We will be back again. That Patreon episode should be up for you guys Monday night. And then send those ravens. We actually have a couple that we had left in the bag. Pretty big deal. We're going to have to do some research, Sir Matt and I, talking about bloodlines, talking about parentage for Jon Snow, looking at some of the Targaryen, some of the illegitimate bastards versus
where do they go?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
There's so many to track.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something special, and hopefully Sir Matt will remind me about this. I mentioned this, I think, last week. My heart was broke in this theory that I was working on, and I want to read the theory to you guys. I think it's incorrect, but you do all this research, you pour yourself into this, and I'm like, you know what? Even if it's wrong, I kind of want to go ahead and read it. Right. So I've got a pretty interesting theory for Rhaegar's children. So remind me. I think we'll start Follow Up Friday with that. Get off and going. Might be a little longer, but that's okay. Yeah. So
that's okay. Alrighty. We were a little. Last Fall Out Friday was a little short, so we try to. Yeah. When that happens, we try to make up for it. So.
For sure.
So, all right, guys. Well, that is it. This is time for us to sign off and say our farewell. We want to thank you for playing the Game of Thrones. In our next episode, we will be discussing Chapter 22, Arya 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which, real quick, is interesting. Just that it's like, this is a thing where you can't just, when you're talking about the POV read, sometimes it's like, well, this is Arya's second chapter.
Yeah, I know.
Because she's so prevalent in some other chapters and stuff like that. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
So.
Absolutely.
And Eddard's chapter and stuff like that.
Yeah, so. It's really, if you haven't had a chance to go back and just follow a point of view, definitely give it a try. It's fun. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so.
But you miss out on some people. So
make sure you've read the whole series first.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. So, all right. If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us a raven at btkcast@gmail.com.
We will see you in a week, and remember that winter is coming.